So they don't come in behind me and shoot me as supposedly as the target. But I want to make sure that I'm identifiable. That's my point right there.
Well, uniforms trump plain clothes at any time, so regardless of what it is. And I talked to a friend of mine, I want to identify who he is today, just to reaffirm my thought process. The Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, where I trained for the Active Threat Response Instructor course, did a mock drill where they used a scenario where there was an undercover officer versus a uniformed officer. And until they started marking those folks where they knew exactly who they were, the statistics weren't good when they run around the corner and saw that person's arm. And that's got to be part of that training, and it is. That's what my understanding.
For those of us that might be stepping into the breach before law enforcement gets there, how do you protect yourself after the fact to make sure that, in fact, you don't become a victim for doing the right thing at the right time?
Well, you've seen the sashes like the school patrol folks wear, you know, the little pullover sashes. That's one option.
We're talking about teachers in the classroom.
And if they're going to carry a firearm, and I don't know who all they're going to arm, if they're carrying a firearm and they're going to be a good guy in that situation, they better be prepared to make sure that number one, when they see a law enforcement officer coming, that they put that weapon down and follow commands. Okay, but they need to be plainly identifiable for sure, and that's part of their.
We have another questioner up here, or maybe we have one here, and then we'll go back. Ma'am.
But just following up on what you were just saying, they need to be plainly identifiable. One of the printed rules you have in that program is that they're supposed to maintain anonymity. How is an armed member of staff going to maintain anonymity and yet be easily identifiable when officers show up?
Clarify for us, would an armed teacher wear a weapon that's visible? Or would the armed teacher have a...
Not if you want them to be covert, you know. I mean, the whole point of this is so to maintain anonymity, it's like anonymity, and then not tell folks who it is. But they better be identifiable when law enforcement shows up. And your campus law enforcement, as I understand it, would know who these staff members were. But you're not going to be carrying it, openly carrying it, because that would defeat the whole purpose of not knowing who's got one of it.
I thought it would serve as a deterrent.
I think it serves as a deterrent if you don't know who's there, who may be somebody that may oppose you.
That's Texas in general these days.
I've got one quick, you're the moderator, I know that, but I got one quick follow-up question for you.
Sure.
One shot, right, is what you want to shoot your deer with, is what you strive to do. And how do you do that, Bob?
Well, you do it, and I mean, if you have a rifle and you need a second shot, you reload.
Yeah.
You don't need a semi-automatic.
That's true, but what you do at the beginning of the year, before you ever go out there in the field with that rifle.
Well, I practice.
Thank you.
Okay, question up here. I got my deer this year.
Good.
I'm going to ask these kind of questions for them, but they're not necessarily questions. They're just things you can think about. First, for the weapon to be concealable, it has to be a smaller weapon. These teachers being viewed by 30 kids a day, 5 times a day, whatever the numbers those run into. That gun against a shotgun, as the gentleman said earlier, some of the shoots, if I shoot a 32 or whatever my gun is, or 9 or whatever, small, concealable, and then I just get a bunch of shotgun bullets at me, to me that's more risk for not so much reward in the grand picture. Also, to speak to some of the implements that Mr. Toscano mentioned earlier, if those all fail, and this is one implement, if everything else fails, and it was multiple measurements, my question on the flip side of that is, okay, what if it fails the wrong way? If all of those fail, no student is at risk of being shot. If a teacher gets their gun taken away, the gun is already in the school, he doesn't have to go looking for it, it's already there. You're adding more risk for, what's the reward? My whole thing is this a more prolific thing that's going to happen, that we have to add risk for the reward of something that, from my understanding, we're doing a very good job to help prevent.
was just sitting here listening to the teacher that preceded you, thinking to myself, what are the schools going to do if parents come up and say, I don't want my child in a room with an armed teacher? How do you deal with these one-off situations? And I just think that I'm really glad we're here tonight because we're surfacing all these things, and they are questions that deserve to be answered, hypotheticals that deserve to be considered. And I would like to say that's why I was honored to come here tonight, that I would pretend to have the answers to those questions. And ma'am, did I just hear a question from you? Oh, okay, right in front.
Hi, I'm not very good at public speaking. I'm super nervous right now. My heart is like pounding. But I'm totally on the fence, my husband and I both, and I was hoping that coming here tonight was going to give me more knowledge about what the district was going to do as far as hours and training and things that you spoke of, but what exactly they're planning on doing. I carry, my husband and I both carry, we have our license to carry, and I feel comfortable knowing that I can carry and because I've put hours with my weapon and I've handled it and shot many targets. I know a target is not the same as an active shooter, but I don't feel comfortable saying that I have my license because I did the classroom work and I took the written test and I shot at a target from different distances. So to me, I don't think that me having my license was, and I feel comfortable with that carrying because I took that course. I feel comfortable knowing that I have many hours with that. So I was just hoping I was going to find out how many hours they were going to require, and also an active shooter comes in and a teacher has a weapon in his or her classroom. Are they to shut the door, protect the kids, and stay? Or are they going to be required to go after the bad guy? Because they're teachers, you know, they're supposed to be there to educate. I feel bad for them thinking or knowing that they have to be put in that position when they already have families of their own. They have to get ready in the morning, or if they forget their weapon, they have to go back, they're late. And, you know, I want my child to be focused on when they're in the classroom and not have to worry about a teacher having so many things that they have to worry about. So I was just hoping I was going to get more information about training and things like that.
Good points. Any comments on that?
I'd just like to say that if whatever the training is, I don't think it's going to be a few hours. My understanding is it's 140 hours or something like that. Is that correct? Real active training for a school teacher. So it's not just an overnight course or a weekend course. And if it was, I don't think it'd be worth doing. It needs to be a real substantial amount of training, and with backup training once or twice during the year. In those circumstances, I would be 100% for with a qualified teacher that wants to do it.
Okay.
I thank you. I thank you for coming tonight. I wish we would have done this last January, because in February, when this was being considered, it was some form of arming staff. And we do have the need to protect our kids. I am a district taxpayer. I had 4 of my 5 children go through the school. I have 8 of my 12 grandkids go through the school district. I am a mother and a bonus mother of law enforcement, and I don't mind if people have guns, the right people. But what I am not hearing, and I have to answer that question, it was 80 hours under the Marshall Plan. In the Guardian Plan, it hasn't actually been stated. And so what's it going to cost? We already know it's going to cost something. So in my mind, can we do a cost analysis of what it would take to improve, or not improve, because I think our Easy Cares program is a really great, but to embellish it, or to do more, as Dr. Ayton has said, seeking to see what the root problem is. I think we're being reactive and not proactive in what we're trying to do. I don't want to see any of our students hurt. I don't want to see any of our teachers who I love dearly have to carry a gun. I want them to teach. And I want our students to feel like they can come and learn. So it doesn't sound like we have an actual answer. It does sound like we have a draft policy. But I beg you to share that draft policy with us and share the cost of what this is of what you're thinking the Guardian Plan will cost, and see where we can better use that money. And I have to tell you, on the day of the shooting in Sutherland Springs, our church stopped at our turkey festival that day, and we prayed It was a sad situation. But if you really think about what happened, somebody failed that shooter. Somewhere down that line, if things would have been different in that guy's life, you wouldn't have gone through, we wouldn't have lost so many people in our community that way. So, what's it gonna cost? And can we not work on a final policy until we all kind of figure out what that money is in the cost analysis? Thank you.
So I think that if I can summarize her remarks, you'd like to see as much focus and attention and research done on preventative measures, working with children long before they become children at risk or students at risk or active shooters. And as there is being put on bringing in a consultant and looking at a policy, and I would just say that we've talked about the draft policy enough. I can imagine there's going to be quite a few demands on the administration to share that with taxpayers here.
And they may be minors, but our students are very articulate, especially our high school students. They are the first line of knowing where these threats are coming from. And then they're having to make decisions about who to share that with that's going to take that information and do something in an effective and an efficient way. And again, that was some of the feedback that came from the schools that the Washington Post surveyed. And they said that was that first line of defense. So my question again, as it was at the board meeting, is are we doing enough first line of defense bolstering before spending precious resources on last line measures?
We're going to cut this off at midnight, by the way.
Thank you, Robert. My question basically is going to be to you, Chief. As a former Special Forces commander in Vietnam, and for the last 32 years, I've been a police officer here in Bear County. 12 years ago, I suggested we bring in retired police officers and retired military people to work on our campuses, because that's what we're trained to do. Our teachers are here to teach. So have you used any retired police officers or retired military people at your school district?
I think it's somebody along.
These people I've talked to are willing to work for free. They're retired.
That's something I haven't heard proposed before. Is that something you've come across?
Well, I get it a lot in my area because I live, where the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center is, and I got a lot of folks that retired feds that want to participate in it now. In my situation, we don't have staff on our schools that are Georgia sworn law enforcement officers. So the problem I have with a lot of those folks is they don't have the Georgia certification. But I put them to work at other places. I put them to work with threat assessment. It's like you talked about a while ago, assistance with threat assessment teams, that sort of thing. I find something for them to do constructive to assist me. I have them evaluate our training. There's a place for all that. But here, from what I understand, it's actually using district employees that are actively working.
Seems there's a lot of vacancy. Okay. That's an innovative suggestion. Former military and law enforcement professionals that are retired now stepping forward to volunteer. Ma'am?
Okay, so I'm a bit confused because we've talked about having a concealed weapon and that they would be wearing it on their person. But then there's also a sash going to be worn. So my question is, has the district coordinated with the local law enforcement and to know who the guardians are, if there is going to be a sash worn or not? And then if they have or haven't, what is the recommendation for districts that have the guardian plan to coordinate with Bear County and our San Antonio police and any other small cities?
I think you'll either have to pass the microphone to a district official, or we're really not equipped to speak for the district to answer your question. It's a fair question, but if there's a district official here that wants to answer it, I think that you pass the microphone. But I don't know what the level of district coordination with local law enforcement is, if I understand your correction correctly. What's that?
I would think that what we're here tonight is to hear from everybody that's here, not necessarily that there is a final plan to roll out. That there's an opportunity to hear dialogue from all sides of this equation, areas where we want to be very rigorous in our review, and we would like to encourage the board to be very rigorous in their review. And I think, I don't know that it's appropriate at this point to hear from the district personnel, since they haven't made any more specific planning than that at this point.
Well, they also are inviting questions through the barcode or whatever for people to follow up, and whether you're at home tonight or in the audience, you can send additional questions that I think they're eager to receive and consider. So I joked about midnight. It is 8:20. Should we take another question or two and then wrap it up? Two more, okay?
Hi, for me, I guess it would be more for the chief or anybody that wants to answer. So my thing is, I actually do have a CHL and I do carry when I have my son with me. I can still, you can't even tell. But at the same time, what I understand, and from anybody else that has it, is if I use it and I accidentally hit another kid, or if I hit somebody else and it has nothing to do with it, the possibility of me going to jail is pretty high. You know, maybe not, but it's something that I'm gonna have to deal with because I messed up and I missed. And that's the thing, and I guess my question would be, and I'm not a teacher, but I'm just, something to question. What if a teacher fires and accidentally hits somebody else, or student, or somebody else that was no threat at all? Would they be the ones liable? Would they be the ones going to jail? Would they be the ones going to court? And you think about it, we have panels and everything. Everybody else gets to go home. But that person that fired the shot, that was trying to help, it probably ain't going home. Or it has a long time of things to deal with that's going to cause a lot of finance, a lot of stress, and could take a toll on the family. That's a lot of things to think about. Like I said, I understand my risk when I carry mine, but it's something that I haven't heard yet to think about. If you miss, and if I miss, and I'm trying to defend my son, I'm probably going to get in trouble. I'll be behind bars, more than likely. If I mess up and shoot somebody else, it has nothing to do with it. The same thing like I saw on the news the other day. 18-year-old kid ran a red light, hit somebody else, the person died. He got charged because he ran the red light. Same thing. When you think about it, if I make a mistake and it was on me, and I hit somebody else, the possibility of me being held liable is pretty high, I would imagine. So I guess, like you said, it's a different state, I know that, but how would that fall with teachers? For the chief, I'm sorry.
It's not without risk, and it's no different than if you're going home at night and you have that weapon in your pocket and you stop at a gas station to fuel up your vehicle, and then somebody threatens your life and you fire a shot and you miss and you hit somebody else. The risk is still there. It's going to be on the individual and on the district.
Would the district cover the legal fees?
Does the district...
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I'm sorry, what was your question?
I would just whether districts in general indemnify their peace officers and other employees that might
Well, in most of the school districts across the country, you have they've got, I don't know how it is in Texas, in most places that have some immunity and things like that, as long as you train properly, but still you can separate yourself from that qualified immunity, solid immunity, however you want to put it, if you do things that are outside that scope of the training. That's why I just keep hitting that aspect of it, because that's just going to be such a key component of any of this. Even if you guys walk away and decide we're not going to train our staff, we're not going to have we're not going to implement the guarding plan. That training aspect and that threat assessment aspect is so key. And we're also talking about training folks. I would be remiss to say you need to make sure you train those folks also on tactical medicine type stuff. You have stop the bleed kits everywhere. I would imagine in your instance, when you were laying there bleeding, you would have given anything to have access to one of those things at the time to stop that blood loss. How much blood did you lose at the time? That was a tremendous amount of blood. I'm just absolutely in awe that you're still here and so grateful. So to make sure you train with those stop the bleed kits, that stuff goes hand in hand with that tactical training.
So, with another answer to your question, so you said, how would someone feel if they shot someone accidentally? You're in the middle of a gunfight. I've never been in the middle of a gunfight, but you're in the middle of a gunfight trying to protect people. Someone might die. Someone will die if you're not helping. Someone will die. So you lay on the floor or you run because you don't have a gun, and everybody that's running with you, someone's going to get shot. But if you'd have had that gun, possibly you could have slowed it down. Possibly you could have stopped it. Man back here says less than 20% or about 20% of the active police force can hit a moving target or in a crisis situation. Well, that's 20% that are going to get shot at. 100% are going to get shot at, but 20% of the time they're going to hit something. That's better than doing nothing at all.
Yeah, and I understand that. I guess my thing is to remember is at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. And like I said, I'm not anti-gun, right? I carry myself. I believe in that. I do. But my thing is to remember, I don't know, like I said, I'm not a teacher, but I'm just saying, whenever you fire, you're held liable.
Absolutely.
Everything around. Whether you stop somebody else or not, you kill somebody else's kid. You have to answer that. And parents, obviously, are not going to be very happy. You have to know what they can do. You know, you still have to fear the retaliation from that aspect. And then you still got to remember, you could be going to jail because you killed somebody else that had nothing to do with it.
I don't think you're going to go to jail. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what a lawyer would tell you, but I'm going to tell you this. You're in the middle of a gunfight trying to protect people. Bullets are flying everywhere. You might end up hitting somebody accidentally, especially if you only 80% of the time you miss in a crisis, in a shooting crisis. But the odds of that person killing more people because you didn't have a gun are greater. And I'm not stating anything that's not fact. These guys, unencumbered, walk into school and shoot until they're out of ammo. Lay their gun down and say, oh, I give up. I'm retarded. I have a problem. Whatever it may be. But if someone was to shoot at them before they emptied their magazine or had 4 or 5 other magazines.
All right, let's bring it back from the hypothetical to our last questioner of the night.
So I have 2 questions. One of them is, if a program that allows teachers to carry guns onto a gun-free zone area, wouldn't that defeat the idea of a gun-free zone and allow other people to be justified in bringing their own guns onto campus? And then my second question is, does instituting a program that allows teachers to carry guns make them the targets, the first targets in an active shooting situation? And whether the teachers are armed or unarmed, are they mentally prepared and ready to deal with their life always being on the line, whether they want it to be or not?
That's the reason why these young people need to be in the room while this gets discussed.
So thank you for your question. I think the first question you asked is an easy one because no gun zones throughout the state have exceptions for people that are licensed and designated as peace officers or legitimate people to be armed. But the second question is a much more difficult one, which is, does it increase putting teachers at risk, and for that matter, the students around them, if they're known to be a teacher that carries?
Logically, you increase the risk when you increase the source of an injury. Intentions aside, that's just the logical progression. You're increasing the risk.
Look, I think we've reached the end of the program, and if anything has been established tonight, there's nothing simple about this community conversation whatsoever, and although there's more empty seats than filled seats here tonight, I think your smart questions suggest that there's a lot more conversation to be had in the district about this, and I hope that your participation tonight helped inform the school administrators and trustees who were here tonight, and I want to thank them for having me. And I know they want to have the last word, and so we're going to have your school board president come up. But I also want everybody to thank the panelists for the time they gave.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your efforts tonight. And to all you panel members, we appreciate you being here and providing us with your wisdom. It's great having you. And I know that we're much richer for having had this discussion with the community and hearing what your thoughts are on the subjects. For those of you who are here tonight those of you who are left here tonight, we appreciate you coming. And as I said when I started, this is the East Central community. We came in as friends and neighbors. We hope that we leave as friends and neighbors. I will promise you that as we develop policies, they will be published, whether they're draft or not. We want to inform you as much as we can about what the program is if we implement that program. There are some things, as I've said before in one of our board meetings, that if we implement this program, you will never know. You will never know who is carrying a weapon. You will never know the classifications of employees, whether they're teachers, janitors, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, or administrators. You will not know who those people are. Local law enforcement will know that those people exist. And there will be coordination with them so that they can be identified, and they won't be wearing a sash. Because then the target person coming in knows to shoot the people with sash. So that's not going to happen. But again, I want to thank you all for being here. From the bottom of my heart, it's a pleasure to see you all here and to know that you're all interested in what's happening in the district. I wish that all 990 seats in this auditorium were filled. Regretfully, there were only 144 of you here tonight. So I'd like for you to let that sink in a bit. This was well publicized. We've had a survey. Our challenge is always communicating with the community. We have to find a better way to do that. Y'all are willing to be communicated with. And we need to find a way to do that to everybody. So again, I hope you enjoyed your experience here in the Gary Patterson Center for the Performing Arts. I hope that you have enjoyed the facility that you built out of the 2016 bond program. And I hope that you'll return so that some of our students can show off for you, because this is a wonderful facility for them to do it in. Thank you again, Bob. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Panel, thank you so very much for sharing with us. Hope everyone's safe going home. Good night.